Now
Hi,
recording.
Sammi. Welcome back to the diary room.
Thank you, thank you.
So, new day, new cycle. How have you been feeling the past few days?
Uh, um, I feel like I can't tell if whoever did casting needs a raise or needs to be fired after the amount of fights, but one of the two needs to happen. I feel like that's basically my thoughts. Like, I feel like fine things are fine on a me perspective. I don't know if the rest of the house is mentally doing okay, but I'm fine.
Please. So, you've mentioned there's been a lot of drama going on. How do you feel about it from your perspective?
Uh I feel like I have no idea why people are being messy, like especially the nominees, because at first it's like, okay, well, I want MJ to stay, so it'll be fine. And then Livy's like, I'm gonna go blow up the house, and it's like, great, okay. And then more people start fighting. It's like, great. And then MJ's like, I want to do stuff, and it's like, please don't. And then eventually MJ's like, I've decided I'm gonna do it anyway, and I'm like, all right, whatever, sure. I don't I don't know at this point. I I don't know if there's something in the water. I don't know why they're playing so messy. I'm gonna be honest. Like it's not a good strategy thing. That's for sure. I don't think any of the callouts are.
Oh, wow. So, how have you felt about their exposed pieces, like, the actual things they have to say?
Um I I feel like I'm kind of glad that this whole like alliance of the people who are super interconnected is out in the air. I don't even know if it's a real alliance, but I do know that these people are connected enough that like if this puts the target on some of them, well, they are probably going to target the other people. I mean, so be it. And like besides Jordan, the whole group is people who it's like either the person I don't talk to or the two people who are like near the bottom lately because of me being like, I talk to these people a good amount. I like them. However, they like everybody, and that is a problem.
Okay, very interesting. So, with this vote, we have a few more hours until the eviction. Kind of how you've been thinking as far as which nominee you might save and why.
It's a weird one. I went into this like, yeah, I'm gonna save MJ, but then Livy accepted my offer of that she needs to give me cupcakes or else I'll vote her out. So now I kind of have to. I mean, also the fact that MJ is outright asking me to vote her out of the game and also outright asking other people to vote her out of the game. I don't feel like I'm going to gain any brownie points by saving MJ here because like Livy came to me early on. If I was campaigning or going against Livy, it's just going to cause problems there. And if MJ, my thing's always like whenever people do stuff like this, sometimes people are like, I'm gonna save them anyway, but it's like if other people save MJ, they're not going to get brownie points for saving someone who wants to leave the game. If somehow MJ stays, I'm still going to be in the better position for it. So because of that, there's no reason for me to go out on a limb for someone who doesn't want to be in the game, you know? Like I'm not doing anyone any favors.
Okay, fair enough. So that's kind of how you're voting, but do you have an idea where you think the house might be swung at the moment?
Um so funny enough, I was actually just talking to Michael about this. I feel like the House will probably settle on the easier option of voting out MJ. However, there was conversation in the House chat where I know Mira brought it up, and I don't remember if anyone else had specifically brought it up in this conversation. I would have to go back to look. But about the fact that like when MJ did this call out post, the response that MJ got was basically like, I don't know why you're doing this. Like, you were going to be safe, which would have been one thing, but then it went into like, you're still going to be safe, making it sound like that group might be wanting to save MJ over Livy. So I haven't heard them like doing any form of campaigning, but this is also why I don't really want to go out on a limb for like voting to keep MJ, because this group seems to be like publicly stating that they would rather that Livy leaves the game, even when MJ calls them out. So I it's like, I don't feel like I feel like there's a lot of ways that this could just not benefit. So I'm like, I don't want, if they get their way and keep the person who they want in the game, I don't want to make that happen, you know?
Makes sense. Um, so moving, forward into the next cycle, how are you feeling as far as like whether you're going to want to win HOH, who you're looking to target at the moment, and all that good stuff?
I mean, if I win HOH, it's just going to be boring. Um, I mean, I'm, my position hasn't changed to where I just have someone who I need to put up, and I don't know. I kind of just feel like I don't want to win the competition. But like, um, if I do, then it's like I don't know. I'm tempted to just like actually put up a big player. The problem is that I don't feel like any of those or them are going to put me up. If I had the like gun to my head, you have to pick someone, I'd be tempted to put up like Shinx because I know Shinx is gonna stay. But if I put up Shinx on the block, I'm losing all of the goodwill for the immunity thing. So like, it's not really great.
Okay. Yeah, since you did bring it up, you did win the GPA Power for the week, and you chose immunity and to give it to Shanks. Why did you decide on the immunity power, and why did you decide to give it to Shanks?
I decided on the immunity power because my other options were I could block a vote, but even though last week the block a vote could have mattered, I feel like with this game, I didn't feel like this week was going to be the week where it would come down to one vote mattering. I didn't really see it getting to a point where that happened. There was still more what's it called? Like there was still more stress like with stuff, but it's like I didn't feel like one vote was going to make a huge deal this week. I didn't feel like one player playing in the veto was going to matter. I didn't really want to do that. I could have blocked someone from the HOH. I did consider that, but with it being a crapshooty HOH, and with the fact that multiple people had just gone out on a limb for me, my big thing is like I could block an HOH and make next week slightly better for me, or I can use the power to build trust, like finalize trust basically with several people, which gives me a hell of a lot more than blocking one HOH for 1 week does. Like, I do feel like realistically, there's only one player in the game who would probably nominate me next week. So technically, I could have used the HOH blocker as immunity for the next week, which, you know, was an option, but like with the like talking around and stuff like that, like my original plan was I'm like, in a worst case scenario, I save either Crow or I save Michael, both of which are in a position where they could go up, would be really bad too. Ryan would have been in my short list, which is why I brought it up to him afterwards. But like, honestly, Ryan only wasn't in my original message because I thought he was the least likely to get in trouble of the three. But so I'm like, well, I don't. The HOH happens, and it's like it's Jordan. So I'm like, well, neither Michael or Crow are going on the block. To the point where I didn't think I told Crow about the immunity. I mean, I should. I just kind of didn't bother. I don't think he'd care that much, but it's like, hey, you have the information. But I was going to say like they were both safe, so I go to Ryan and I'm like, well, Ryan, I'm pretty positive you're safe, but like if you feel like you need it, you got it. And it's like no. So now at this point, I'm like, okay. So I go to Jordan and I'm like, hey, I have the power. This is how it works. I don't want to mess up your HOH, but I want to give it to somebody. So you let me know who's going up and stuff, and we can talk out like who you want. And like I was going to use it on Val, but Jordan's like, well, I feel like I need to gain trust with Val more. And I'm like, you know what? That's probably true. And if I stepped on Jordan's toes, that probably wouldn't be great with it. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, I'm going to use it on Michael or Shinx so I could make it seem like me and Michael weren't close. So I go tell Michael about it, and Michael's kind of the same way of, yeah, thanks for telling me, but I'm not going on the block. When in reality, every person who I went to, I knew already they weren't going on the block. It was strictly based on the what can I tell you guys. Um, Also, going back to the thing with earlier, I just got a message. Like, actually, I'll finish my thing because otherwise I'll get so far on the tangent that I completely forget. But yeah, so I did that, and then I gave it to Shinx basically as a like making it seem like a hey, I want to be able to prove loyalty to you. But in reality, it's like Shinx is the bottom of my trust ranking of the people who would be like I could realistically give immunity to. So it's like I want to do it in a way that matters, you know? Like I want to give it to someone who it's like I think would take good to it. And I feel like Shinx is the type of person who it's like if I go to him and I'm like I have this immunity, like I want to be able to prove myself to you basically like unless you actively don't want it, I'm going to use it on you. So then it's like, yeah, I'll take it. So like, okay, here you go. So like that's good. I also got distracted there because in some chat I just got a message from Shinx just saying that I don't know what one I just saw the push notification, but a message from Shinx saying that he's going to be voting Livy. So I feel like that does back up what I said about that group doing it. I'm going to be honest. I've brought up to Ryan about us trying to make some sort of counter alliance against like the group that's been outed. Honestly, even if it isn't true, gives something to go against the more connected players, and I probably won't get targeted over to people in that group, so I mean, works for me. But Shinx brought up voting Livy, which I can use to my advantage of being like, yeah, this group stuck together, tried to keep the person who was literally asking to be voted out, and use it as basically a we know they're connected now.
Right, very interesting. So so at the moment, even hearing this, you're very much still thinking MJ is someone you'd like to see leave this week.
Um, in a perfect world, I would like MJ to stay. If MJ decided that she would like to stay, I would gladly vote to keep her. Or if the people in power, like the scary group, weren't trying to keep MJ, I would still vote to keep MJ and just be like, I don't know, someone else must have done it. But no, I feel like MJ staying will probably benefit me less than Livy staying because Livy went into this list this week really low on my trust rankings. But I feel like I can make a lot of use of Livy going forward with this all being the case. And I feel like because MJ doesn't want to be in the game right now, I feel like MJ is going to be a lot less motivated for it. Whereas I feel like Livy is going to go hard for whatever she can.
Fair enough. And I'm curious that, 4 cycles later, only 3 people have won competitions, including yourself. Um, kind of what are you making regarding the competition in the house currently?
I think it's kind of funny, especially because no one really seems to care that Jordan and I have 5 competitions between the two of us, and it seems like people are more wherever this narrative of the physical group came from of well they must have said something to get put on there, which to be fair I do agree with that. Somehow that narrative has taken over more than the narrative of what's actually happening in the house, and so people seem more scared of the physical majors than the people who won 5 of the 8 competitions, which I mean, if that's what they would like to focus on, all the power to them. I will not complain, especially because I feel like the people who are getting called out the least with this are Crow and Ryan, which is the 2 physical people that I am by far the closest with. So I'm like, you know what? If that's what people want to do, they can go right ahead, and I will support it.
Fair enough. Okay, Sammy, that's all the questions I have currently. But any closing comments?
No, that's going to be all I really have that I can think of.
Please. All right. Well, a great live DR as usual.
Thank you.
Period.